It's January the 31st, 2023, and you know why you're here, so let's kick this off right and introduce the players. Hey, I am Gerissar, a WoW esports aficionado.
Hey guys, I'm Bigmoran. I've been gone for a while, but in my absence, I've been getting addicted to Solo Shuffle. And today, we're joined by someone who I think plays Solo Shuffle as well. His name is DarkShady. He's a Hunter main, been playing since Classic, and likes to participate in all forms of content, but especially Mythic Plus and PvP. But DarkShady, why don't you introduce yourself to the stream?
Thank you, man. My name is DarkShady. Thanks for inviting me. First off, I'm happy to be here. But as you said, I've been playing pretty much Hunter only for since Classic, on and off, pretty much every expansion. But this expansion primarily has been a solo shuffle experience for me, sitting in those long queues. So, but I've been competitively PvPing, I'd say, the past couple of years for sure, and been really loving marksman my entire WoW career, if you will, and some fun stuff happens with marksman recently. But you guys can check me out. I'm streaming all solo shuffle for all three specs on twitch.tv/the2es DarkShady. Again, thanks for having me, guys.
Right, it's an absolute pleasure. I have to ask though, why the two E's?
It's a hard world out there because apparently there's one the DarkShady already. It's not by choice. I don't know how that's even possible. I've tried different variants, and that's the one I got, unfortunately.
Someone on I've been wanting the Twitter handle just Bigmoran, but someone's had it since like Twitter came out. You know, they're like somehow they locked in that name. It's some guy named Paul. I've tried to follow Paul and get that name because this is like an inactive account. I'm like, man,
damn it, Paul!
Damn it, Paul!
One follower.
Yeah, awesome. Unfortunate.
Oh man. That actually reminds me how hard it was to try to get names sometimes in World of Warcraft, especially by the time Wrath came around, because there's so many players. Everybody, had to put in all those weird characters and everything just try to get that name that you wanted. And then, God, if you forgot the alt code for that, trying to tell somebody to invite you into guild or something. Oh my gosh! Fun fact: I heard over on, I think it was on Reddit, I saw that some people are seeing a bunch of names have been freed up. So, if you want to find the DarkShady name without two E's in World of Warcraft, that might have opened up for you there.
Well, World of Warcraft, it's just DarkShady. There's no V, but it's just Twitter and Twitch that just screwed me over, I guess, on that. So I'll keep trying, I guess.
Yeah, no rest for the wicked, definitely. Well, pleasure having you here. Looking forward to scratching your brain on all things marksman hunter. But I think first, slight little change. We're gonna skip the whole what we've been up to for the last 2 weeks and roll right into the need, greed, and pass. As soon as I remember how to do this again, because I was not ready for my own. Here we go.
This likely won't be a clean fight, so keep your distance, eh?
When you start too fast, you forget your own stuff. Oh my gosh, I'm horrible. All right, need, greed, and pass. So this is our fun little icebreaker segment where we will pose a scenario with 3 options. All the participants get to play along, choose which one they'll need, which one they'll greed, which one they'll pass on. You at home get to play along as well. And this one's super special because we're going to be giving away 2, not just 1, but 2 of those pets that we tweeted about. And that's going to be given away over onto the Discord server. So once you're done hearing this, pop on over to the Discord server, give us go down to our channel there, and you'll see a thread for the Need, Greed, Pass. If you make a comment into it, and we will put your name automatically into the entry, and then we'll take a name draw after a week. So here we go. The scenario is, hey, who doesn't think of Marksman Hunter and then automatically think of Hawkeye from the Marvel Universe, right? So I was thinking about this. I'm like, man, I was looking at all the different Hawkeye abilities, and Marksman actually has quite a few of them. I won't disagree to that. So, but there's 3 that I saw that Hawkeye has that I don't think Marksman has quite yet. And they are smoke bomb arrow, acid arrow, and tear gas arrow. So, if the devs put these into the game, which one would you need, which one would you greed, and which one would you pass?
So I'm guessing the smoke bomb, it literally just drops a rogue smoke bomb, and then
Yep.
the acid one, it applies like a poison or something. What does the acid one do?
So I was thinking the acid was going to do an armor penetration. You know, just like the slimes where they spit armor onto, and you have a 10% reduced armor or something like that.
So like a war breaker, kind of like a Colossus Smash. Okay,
Yeah.
and then the what was the last one?
Tear gas.
And what would tear gas do? Is that like a CC?
So that one,
Like a
I wasn't
blind.
sure. So you know what? You tell me what you think it would be.
I mean, to me, that sounds like a blind. You know, like an AOE blind or something. So it's like
Sure.
a smoke bomb, Colossus Smash, or blind, pretty much. But in an arrow, so they can shoot it. They can shoot it like
Yep.
on the ground. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I have my answer for this.
Go ahead. I think Shady looks like he's still thinking.
I mean, I for sure would. I think for sure I'd need on the smoke bomb arrow. I think smoke bomb is just like an insane win condition just in general, and it's a very unique ability to rogue, and it's kind of like that, the quintessential like rogue cooldown. You know, like of course there's Death Mark and Shadow Blades or whatever, but ultimately, you know, smoke bomb kind of has like this multi-purpose impact. So I think I'd choose smoke bomb arrow, and then for the greed, I would choose the acid arrow for the additional CC, assuming it's a blind effect. I don't think hunters have any disorientate effect, or I don't think they have anything on that DR. So I think that would be insane in their toolkit. I mean, they could CC a healer for 16 seconds or whatever by themselves. So that's, to me, that sounds pretty good.
All right.
Yeah, I think I'm going to reverse the order there a little bit. I go for blind first. I think I need on that one because of what you said. I mean, you got Intim into trap, and then right after the trap, you blind, and then depending on how Chimeral Sting works with that, because I know sometimes with blinds like Blinding Light, it doesn't always break on damage, specific damage. Like I guess it doesn't break on physical. If you could somehow get a Chimeral Sting in on the blind arrow, then you have a longer CP chain that come out and they're silenced for 3 seconds. So I need on that one. But smoke bomb, same idea. You could do on your kill target or stun trap and then smoke bomb afterwards with a steel trap on top or a tar trap root on top of the healer. So they're stuck in the smoke bomb and they can't heal on the outside. I definitely got a pass on the damage, even though most marksmen I know would just be all about just giving us a colossal smash there for sure.
Interesting. So I get what you're saying, and yeah, I mean, obviously those two, the smoke bomb is very strong. A blind would be super strong. I think an acid arrow, like a colossal smash, would also be excellent just because of how that would synergize with the feral damage when you're looking at your jungle cleave, or really if you want to look at a multitude of other melees. I think that would open up the marksman to some other comps to work with. So I'm actually going to need on the acid arrow just to see what that would actually do to expand the comps that the marksman could work with. And yeah, I think I'd have to go with the smoke bomb because that's just so situationally good. I'll have to agree on that. And as much as that pains me having to throw away the tear gas arrow, I think that would be really good. It'd be I have to give it away because I can't pick the other. I picked the other ones, I guess is what I should say. One thing I was thinking of while you were talking there, Big, and I wanted to hear what your guys' thoughts were. But what if the tear gas arrow, instead of being a blind, was a like a reduced hit or a reduction in cast time? For because imagine if like a person is crying and they can't they can't see or act appropriately, so they're slowed down. Would that change your thoughts?
Like, so kind of like Demon Hunter Darkness, kind of in a way, maybe.
No, because that's more of like I think more like a curse of tongues almost, or something like that, where it like just slows down, almost like a like just to slow down the cast time. So it adds like 20% to your cast time or something like that for 10 seconds.
I don't know. I still like the smoke bomb and the CC
Okay,
for
fine.
sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna agree there. I'm gonna agree with that. I would actually, I would need on the smoke bomb and then pass on the curse of tongues a little bit. I think.
Okay, fine. That's why I'm not a dev. That's all right. All right. Let's rather than pretend like Gerissar knows what he's doing, let's get into the WoW PvE events and talk about what's coming up right away.
Get in there and fight! Stop hiding!
Oh gosh, I love these. I actually like the icebreakers. That's so good. But WoW PvP events. So we only got the official ones, the official Blizzard ones. We got AWC Cup number 3 is happening this weekend. The open bracket should be happening tomorrow for NA and EU. Cup number 4 is happening on the 10th of February. So the following weekend, and then after that, we're going to be rolling into the MDI stuff throughout February into March, with the AWC Gauntlet happening March 31st. So, are you guys? I think Big, you played in what was it, Cup number 1?
Oh, I did terrible. I did so bad. I was embarrassed. Like I was very confident because we were wargaming people before the tournament started.
Yep.
And we were doing like really well, and like we were just like smoking everyone. Me and my team. Then first game I queued into, or our first game of the series, game of the tournament. I'm sorry, was into a team with Foxy Llama, KZ Fox, and then some warrior. I think he goes by the name James. And they like something was like weird with my like build or something. I didn't like check my talents like some of the games.
Oh no.
And like I just died to like Ret Warrior. This was when this was right after they buffed Ret like crazy.
Yeah.
And so I was just like playing this really offensive build, like assuming I wouldn't be the kill target, like playing 0 verse, and then I was just like got killed 2 games in a row just like by me being an idiot. And then the third game I'm pretty sure the Foxy Llama, there's this ability called Chrono Loop where you can like lock someone's HP low.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure he chrono looped me on my tranquility. So like I pressed trank and I thought I was fine, but I think he chrono looped me before that, so it like canceled the trank and I just like died to a Ret Paladin. It was very stupid. And then the second round we got Calvish's team. So it was Calvish, Kearney,
yeah.
and that game that series I sat up in my chair, and it was actually like I think we got 3-0'd as well, but they were like pretty close games. Like we could have won any of those games. But I felt I was so defeated, just dying like a noob in the first series of the tournament. Like when I shouldn't have, like there's no way I should die like in that matchup if I play smart. And I was just like, guy wasn't really taking the tournament too seriously, but I was like kind of embarrassed. I was like, oh man, this sucks. But I haven't played any. I didn't play in Cup number 2, but
Okay.
maybe I'll sign up for number 3 if it's sign up is still open. But I doubt
sign-ups are closed. They closed on the weekend. So.
Dang, I'm so disappointed.
Well, Cup number 4 is the last one. Otherwise, you're waiting for the Gauntlet. I'm assuming, actually, I'm not sure if the Gauntlet, I'm not even sure what that is. If that's going to be like the top 8 or if it's going to be.
Sounds scary, to be honest. I don't
know.
I think it's the. Well, I don't want to speak on that. Actually, I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to look at that as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're planning for the Gauntlet. Because before they had the circuit and the relegation cup, and I don't think the Gauntlet is either of those. So we'll have to see. But how about you, Dark? Have you even played in any of the tournaments? Or are you going to give it a try?
No, no, I have not really, and as much as I would love to do that one day, I feel like I have so much more to improve on before I'm even considering that.
I understand.
Just taking it season by season, really, just trying to improve my game as much as I can. But I watch it all, and so definitely really enjoy watching AWC each cup.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I'll be honest, I'm scared poopless, but I'm actually signed up for cup number 4. I did a little thing in the Discord earlier, and some people they DM'd us. So we have a technically PvP team going into cup number 4 with absolutely no illusions of grandeur. We're expecting to get 0-2 throughout the series, but hey, if we take some wins, then great. We'll see what that happens.
All luck to you guys.
Well, thank you. I mean, at the end of the day, we get the banner. That's all that matters. That to me is like, that's a mint little carrot to win. Well, I think that's about all we're going to talk about for the esports. Again, if anybody knows of events that are going to come up, let us know so we can shout it out and make sure people are aware. But let's get into the subject of analysis and find out what DarkShady knows about the marksman hunter.
I'm gonna light you up, sweet cheeks.
Wow. I'm having a hard time talking all of a sudden. I don't know. What is it? What's with me, Big?
I don't know. Maybe you got aim shot in the brain. You took a chimera to the skull.
I must have. Man, oh man. Well, hey, yeah, marksman hunters. That's why we're here. Marksman, like we did the round table. Right at the end of beta there, it looked like it was going to be a phenomenal looking class. It came out really strong onto the ladder, it looks like. And well, Blizzard came along with their nerf bat and went right on it. Decided to double tap, like one of the most key abilities to marksman was just too strong. So whoop, out that goes. So here we are. And Dark, I got to, how much of a difference has it made? How much like this whole conversation about double tap and what's happened to the spec? Is it like, because people are crying that it's useless or that it is just going to be benched forever? Like what's your take? What's your hot take, man?
Well, thanks. Yeah, it's so the hunter community is in shambles. Essentially, marksman is just dead to the water for 90% of people, and I don't think that's necessarily true. I think marksman took a big hit. One of your biggest win conditions is that double tap, and double tap itself being on a 1 minute cooldown, it was pretty overtuned. I think that's pretty safe to say for PvP. I'm sure tons of marksmen are going to disagree with me, but it really sets you up to basically one shot players if you had everything else set up correctly with Death Chakram and everything. Especially in the lower brackets, like if you weren't ready to play against a marksman, double tap was just shredding people.
Oh, yeah.
So now that it's gone, it's not really the issue that it's gone is the problem. It's the fact that the compensation for it was very lackluster and very disappointing for most people. It was replaced with the talent called Tactical Reload, which essentially just makes aim shot and rapid fire have a reduced cooldown of about 10%. Which aim shots cooldown already is like 11 seconds, 12 seconds. It really depends on your haste, but 10% of that you're shaving off 1 second. And rapid fire, a 20-second cooldown is now 18 seconds. So it's really just not noticeable. So your win conditions are a lot less, your burst is a lot less, and the key to that is your survivability didn't change, and you're already the most squishiest class arguably in the game. Hunter in general is, and so without that double tap, marksman's looking it's struggling a bit more.
There's another interesting thing too, because I just got done organizing tier lists for skill cap, and this is gonna sound like a joke at first, but I swear to God it's true. If you want to tell if a class is going to be good, in 3v3 in solo shuffle, if you want to know if your class has the tools needed to be good, a good starting place is asking, can your class do its main thing while on the move? Like, does it need to stand still and do its thing, or can it do its thing while running? And if it can do most of its damage, like the important stuff while moving, like the core important thing while moving, then it's probably okay, with like the exception of maybe like enhancement shaman or something. But these specs that need to like stand still and cast, and that includes marks hunters with aim shot, like generally speaking, they're kind of a bit weak in the meta, because the meta is you're like, especially in solo shuffle, you're just required to move around a lot.
Mm.
So I think that's one of the big reasons why double tap was so important too, because didn't it reduce the cast time of aim shot? That was like the main thing, or am
No,
I?
no. So double tap was only ever used on rapid fire, except for in the beginning of Shadowlands. Shadowlands, you could
Ah,
double tap aim shot. So all double tap did was it would increase the arrow shot from rapid fire by 100%. So basically, it doubles your rapid fire, or it would shoot an additional aim shot after your cast. That was significantly nerfed in PvP. So the second aim shot would only do 50% damage. An aim shot already has taken a nerf bat pretty heavily over the last year and a half, so or the last 2 years rather. So aim shot doesn't really hit that hard as much anymore, anyways. So it was really that double tap rapid fire that was one shotting people. I mean, like the hardest double tap rapid fire I got in a single death shock and everything like that was 290k of just hitting double tap and then rapid fire. It did 290k damage to one target. So
wow.
yeah,
That's
crazy.
a
I
little
mean, it was
bit much. That's a
a little
come
bit
on, just a little.
through walls,
The,
through pillars,
Yeah. Yeah. It's okay, guys. I'm safe. I'm behind the pillar. Ha 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 ha.
So
All right.
and
I guess, and so obviously, I mean, there's some changes that need to have happened. Blizzard decided that they're just going to get rid of the ability instead of tuning it once again. But now there's all these outstanding tunings, like I said, aim shot still being reduced, a few other things, and if you're going to be a glass cannon and you take away the cannon, then you're just a wet noodle, a glassy wet noodle.
then you're just glass,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
The other thing. So sorry, Dark. You go
No,
ahead.
go ahead. No, it's all you. It's all you.
All right. So like the other thing too is when we are again, I said I've been updating tier lists. One of the things I've been doing is collecting data from uh, the skill cap community Discord, as
Mhm.
well as data from rank 1 players. So I send out a form every round of hot fixes or every patch to the community, and I send a form to rank 1 players. What's interesting is a lot of the specs that are really bursty and sort of explosive, like Marksmanship Hunter, kind of confuse people as far as where to place them on the tier list. Because on one hand, like for instance, when you're playing against a Marks Hunter, like there's a chance they're just going to absolutely like obliterate you, one game, and then the next game maybe you obliterate them. So it's kind of very hard to predict these specs. It's kind of hard to gauge the power level of these specs that just kind of blast a lot of single target bursty damage. Sub Rogue is another great example. Like no one seems to know how good Sub Rogue is right now, mainly because Asa is so good, and it's kind of probably a similar case with the Hunter specs. I think BM right now is kind of the standout, but with something like Marksmanship Hunter, it's so explosive in both directions that it's like, yeah, as you said, these glass cannons. It's hard to gauge how good they are, and I think what people tend to gravitate towards is like consistency. And I think a spec like Marks, again, there might be some games where you absolutely blast someone, but then that doesn't happen, against someone who presses cooldowns and, or someone who has a lot of passive damage mitigation. And suddenly Marks Hunters go from being like this Omega God class to like, oh, they're just pretty useless after their, one gimmick has been used. And so I think it's very hard to balance something like that compared to like, I don't know, Feral Druid, which does a lot of, single target bleed damage. It's kind of easier to make adjustments to its power level since it's a bit more stable compared to Marks.
Well, I'm so glad you said that because it brings me kind of in a lot of things. That's why unpopular opinion. So I love double tap. I just loved it so much. But removing double tap in the long run has potential to be one of the best things to happen to Marksman Hunter. And the reason for that is Blizzard cannot balance this class in PvP because your main three sources of damage come from aim shot, which in PvP you're not doing all that often because if you have a warrior and a DH on you, you're not aim shotting, period. Like that's just not happening. Rapid fire is your number one damage, and then arcane shot. So the problem with aim shot and rapid fire, you can't adjust those numeric values as a buff because of double tap. Because if you do that, now double tap is just insane, right? The removal of double tap, in theory, gives Blizzard the opportunity to buff everything else up to kind of, in theory, bring it in line with other classes. Um,
Mhm.
I did a lot of a solo shuffle after double tap's been gone to push myself through it to just really feel for it. And I've been still climbing and gaining rating, like gained 100 rating this weekend without it. So I'm at like 2.5 or 2.6 or something like that right now. But um, one thing I'll say about like those tier lists you talked about, um, I think almost like those tier lists, you have to like bracket it down to just the different MMR ratings. Like I do truly believe that. Like marksman is a rank 1 right now. I don't think it's going to be competitive. But you put marksman at 1800, 2100, even 2400, and I think it's like a tier, in my opinion, a tier below BM. So if you have BM and A, I actually do think marksman's still a B tier with just the damage it still has with kill shot. Like you can still chunk people if you have a kill shot proc. Like almost 100 them if you have a kill shot proc. If you do it right, it's RNG, but you can still do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that on most tier lists, like skill capped, big shout out to skill capped and everybody there. But they're gonna rank them a lot lower because that one shot's gone. So it looks so detrimental. But in reality, I think marksman's actually average. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
That's a really interesting point. Like, I mean, maybe I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, it's so difficult to balance a spec when it kind of has this volatility, or when you change one numeric value and then it just throws this other ability completely out of whack. So that's a bit interesting. I never thought of it like that. And so maybe they want, again, as you said, like more freedom over how to balance Hunter. Is that what you're saying? Like now that double tap is gone, they kind of have a bit more flexibility in the sort of changes they can make to the spec. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. There's so much more to, I've have like a long list on my head of ideal wish list, Christmas wish list for marksman. Now that double tap's gone, because double tap, if you did any of the changes that I would love to see, it would just it would push it over. Like Big, you've played PvP. You guys both played PvP for a while. You know that like marksman is either insane
Mm-hmm.
or worthless, right? And that they could never get it right. And double tap is a huge issue with that. Like it's so hard to balance that. But now that it's gone, the entire right side of the hunter tree, you're talking Wailing Arrow, you're talking Windrunner's Guidance, Windrunner and Legacy of the Windrunner, like all these new abilities we have for this patch, nobody uses them in PvE or PvP. Raid and plus PvP, nobody uses them because they're just not that great. Double tap being out of the picture, you can actually hopefully look at those talents now. Blizzard can, and maybe adjust some of those, or wish list. If I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself, but True Shot. If they made it so while True Shot you could cast Aim Shot while moving, as you mentioned earlier, moving on, casting on the move, like man, would that make marksman way more enticing for players to play. And now they could maybe do that with double tap being gone.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like at a fundamental level, so much about WoW is movement, and it's that's why I spec like Mistweaver. Like you'd think that Mistweaver would be okay. I mean, they just got a lower cooldown on Cocoon. I don't know if they're all playing that talent, but anyway, Mistweaver does a lot of healing output. You're like, okay, how could Mistweaver possibly be bad if it's really good at like doing single target healing? Well, it's the fact that it just needs to move so much. Like it has to sit still, channel soothing mist to apply enveloping, and like that brief period of time where you just have to stop moving feels so bad, especially in like solo shuffle where people are running around like crazy. You cannot afford to stand still like in this game. And think of another spec that needs to stand still, like Destro Warlocks. Like Destro would be amazing if it could just like do a lot of stuff while moving, but it just has to plant its feet on the ground and cast. And that I think that just kind of inherently limits a lot of specs right now, especially with solo shuffle where there's like lack of coordination, everyone just kind of running around like crazy. And so I think Hunters being able to cast aim shot on the move would be like a massive improvement for marksmanship for sure.
Well, why don't we get into these talents? You've kind of hinted at it a little bit. I think this would be an excellent time to let's talk about what are you running, DarkShady, for your talent list. And okay, let's not go through all of them because we won't have a limited time. But
Sure.
well, give us the cool notes. Like, what's the highlights? I think actually Why don't we start first with the? It sounds like an elephant's going through my back. Hopefully nobody heard that. Let's start with the capstone and maybe work backwards off of that. So on the left hand side, out of the capstones, there's 4 you actually, or 5, sorry. That's a lot. Holy moly to choose from. You got the poison injector. You got explosive shot versus barrage. Oh, sorry. Is there Hydra's bite or poison injector? You got the death chakram, stampede. You got steel trap, or you got was it killer instinct or alpha predator? Like how do you guys even choose? Like there's so much choice there. What do you go for?
For sure. So, and the best part is all 3 hunter specs kind of utilize the different ones. So that's kind of nice that you change per spec. But for marksman, you could argue poison injection, kind of going that route. I don't bother with that. Most marksmen don't. The 3 capstones you really like as marksman is explosive shot. I love it, can be dispelled, but that's where now the double tap's gone. More emphasis on explosive shot is going to be part of your big bursts. It's a really nice, thing that people aren't normally ready for. Death Chakram, I think, is just a must for MM. Increasing the damage they take by 10%. It really just is a must for burst. And then Steel Trap is just the most underrated hunter ability as far as the new addition to marksmanship hunter. Melee is just they're just everywhere in solo shuffle, and steel trap being able to stop a melee, especially a warrior or a DK. You could scatter them and then put them in a steel trap, and then they can't come at you. It's just so pivotal there to have that. Um,
That's a carryover from Shadowlands, right?
Only for survival. BM and marksman did not have that. So now that they have access to that, it feels so nice to have melee train. Like warriors train me all game. Like they see a marksman hunter and they just want to go. Zug zug, hold W down, put the horse blinders up, and they go you. And it's just so nice to be able to keep them off of you if they're not the kill target. So
Because
Wow.
it's an undispellable root, right? Like it'll break on damage, but it cannot be it's a physical root.
yes,
Is that
physical
correct?
root, and
Yeah.
and it's not guaranteed to break on damage. It's like one of those weird RNG. Sometimes breaks, sometimes doesn't. So that's on a 30-second cooldown is super super nice.
Wow.
And that kind of leads into you have a new hunter talent called entrapment, which it's a must for me as well. It makes the tar trap also roots for 4 seconds. So you can double root a warrior with steel trap, and then they're sitting still. You can throw your tar trap at them, and now they're rooted again. So you really have a lot of nice ways to keep those melee off of your back. Sure.
Big should have had a marksman hunter when he was on the cup there.
What was that?
I should.
Big should have had a marksman hunter on his team.
Yeah, that would be nice, right?
Sorry, buddy. I had to do it.
Really, the only other 2 big capstone nodes, you'll never take Alpha Predator. You'll never use Kill Command and go that route as marksman. You waste too many points to even try. Makes the rotation clunky. But the other 2 are Scatter Shot versus Binding. I'd say Scatter in 95% of the game. Scatter is just so nice for the off DPS, as we talked about with rooting them. It's so clean. Binding you can use if you're playing and there's double melee on you. It doesn't hurt to have an AoE stun, but it does put things on stun DR, which can be negative. So Scatter is just so nice. And then Intimidation. Some people might play Explosive Trap. I think Intimidation is 100%. It's a pet stun. It just, every 1 minute, it guarantees a stun trap. And as marksman, or any hunter spec, that's just so clutch to guarantee that trap go every minute at least.
Yeah. Like, how many times did you miss a trap because the target wasn't stunned or was able to move away before you got the trap laid?
Oh gosh. In the beginning, like when I was learning Hunter and just not super competitive, man, I feel like it was all the time, right? And you still
Yeah.
occasionally miss, but this expansion, they really make it hard to miss traps now. I mean, you can still do it, but I land way more traps this expansion than ever, for sure.
That's cool. I find it interesting considering that the amount of movement has increased, or so it seems. So
Well, you have the 2 routes now too, and
yeah,
so that's makes it a lot easier if they're not moving anymore.
fair enough. What about? Is there anything else on the left side of the tree that you think would be worthwhile talking before we go to the right side?
As far as, I mean, everything should be pretty stable for all hunter specs. I'd say making sure you have camo is huge. And then the thing that lower CR hunters, MMR hunters don't utilize as much as they should, and in this meta it's super nice, is Trank Shot. I've seen
Mm.
some not even take it, and that just is so nice to have a 10-second dispel, or purge rather, especially against resto druids, which are everywhere nowadays, and preservation evokers also. Purging them really hurts. So having that Trank Shot's really important to have for sure.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but Sentinel Owl is kind of a trap. Like I don't think you go that route, right? I mean, on paper it seems really good to be able to hit through pillars, but isn't it like a very small area that you can hit through pillars?
So
Or
yes,
yeah.
thank you for bringing that up, because it was similar to Kyrian Arrow from last expansion, which any marksman hunter knows and just loves that ability. And I was excited, we have it. There's even another talent to make it AOE, so your entire team can have it. It's like that's awesome. But the way it works is you don't when you like in solo shuffle, for example, you won't have it you'll have it by the end of the first round, but you won't have it to start. You have to either wait until it gets up to 12 stacks, or it's every 90 focus, I think, gets you one stack. And you can't cast it unless you have at least 3 or 4 stacks. But it only lasts 3 or 4 seconds. And if they step out of the area, you can't hit them anymore through walls. Whereas Resonating Arrow last expansion, you hit them with the big AOE, and they have a 3-second debuff where even if they get out of the AOE, you can still hit them through walls for 3 seconds. So I can't recommend Sentinel Owl unless you're maybe playing with like a Destro lock, but even then, I think that's just really it's a trap. It's a trap for sure.
That's unfortunate. It's almost like a good idea on how to transition it while removing some of that OP-ness, but they just meh. It misses the mark.
That being
Ba-dum-bum.
said, Big Mex, who just the best survival hunter to ever play the game, he does use it occasionally as survival, and so, but he's a special breed. I think that almost doesn't count. You know what I mean? So, but he does use it as survival occasionally. He puts the 1 point into it, so and uses it.
So you can use it with harpoon, right? Like I think you can like that. Maybe that's the appeal of using it as survivals.
I'd
You
have to
could probably
test I'd have to test it. Kyrian Arrow, you could not harpoon through walls,
uh-huh.
which that would have been awesome if you could harpoon through a wall to trap. Maybe Sentinel Owl you can. I'm not sure. You know why he's using that, to be completely honest, but it's
Hmm.
Big Mech, so there's no point in even doubting or questioning that. The guy's, like I said, just unreal.
He is a beast. All right. What about on the right side? Again, starting with the capstones, you got the Windrunner's Guidance, you got Windrunner's Barrage or Readiness, you got Unerring Vision or Calling the Shots, and then Salvo. So a few less choices, but still, I mean, what's that, 6 different choices for the capstone. That's still quite a bit to choose from. What are you picking?
Yeah. You only got 3 choices here, three lock-ins. Unfortunately, and I talked about this a little bit earlier, Windrunner's Guidance, you just can't take it. It's 3% chance to give you a proc of True Shot. I've tested it. I think myself and probably a lot of other marksman hunters wanted it to work. The idea is so cool. It just doesn't proc, and it feels so bad to use that and just never get a proc. You just feel like a waste. So I don't take that. I don't take the Wailing Arrow Readiness or anything like that, because Wailing Arrow hits as hard as an aim shot. Aim shot's not doing the best on a 1 minute cooldown, so you can't really take that capstone. So you're left with Unerring Vision, which is my favorite, which gives you a crazy burst, especially now that you're missing burst. It's really important. Calling the Shots, I've seen a lot of marksman hunters taking this now, especially when they compare or tie it up with a PvP talent called True Shot Mastery, which reduces True Shot's cooldown by 30 seconds. And also gives you full focus, but the cooldown reduction is what you're looking for there. So the idea is you get more True Shots up more often. I personally don't use it because I don't think it's enough to warrant it. And the Unerring Vision burst that you get is just so good now that it's working. But it's so good for PvP, especially now that double tap's gone. And then Salvo, that's kind of a new addition with this patch. It's always been a Dragonflight, but now it's actually an ability now off the global cooldown. So you should just
Oh,
go ahead and macro that in with Volley to make it uh, out of sight, out of mind. They're both 45-second cooldowns. Just go ahead and macro that in.
mm-hmm.
But Salvo now, it is your main burst kind of setup because it shoots out explosive shots. So you explosive shot, and then a common misconception is, okay, he's already got explosive shot on him. I can't hit him with another explosive shot. And you actually can. You can shoot both explosive shots, the actual skill ability and salvo at the same target, and they will both go off at a 1 second interval or whatever. But they both will go off. So I think salvo is pretty pretty huge for your burst now that double tap's gone.
And my friend was actually complaining the other day that he would dispel explosive shot and he couldn't figure out why like the hunter could instantly reapply it. But I guess now, I mean, I'm just learning about salvos. I guess that's what's happened. He would dispel the first one, and the second one would just come chugging along right after. With salvo, that's funny.
It's nice. Otherwise, marksman would be really hurting if it was only one. That'd be a
It's.
tough time.
I don't
I
think
like
many
that.
players know that explosive shot is like a major source of damage. I mean, correct me if I'm. It is like a decent amount of damage, right? Explosive shot,
Yeah.
or am I? Yeah. And it's you see this debuff that you've never seen before on your partner's frame, and it only lasts 3 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, I mean, for me, as I was just playing Soul Shovers earlier against a marksmanship hunter, and I was like, okay, that's a silly debuff. I'm not going to bother pressing my dispel, but I had like nothing else to dispel. I should have just done it. But yeah, it's kind of something that no one remembers. I guess like really, really smart players know to dispel explosive, but most healers aren't even looking out for that. They don't,
Thankfully.
they're like, what is that? I've never seen that before. this little icon.
Well, it's nice because it's 3 second delay, right? You shoot explosive shot or salvo, and it's a 3 second delay. So when the damage is happening, and each explosive shot's anywhere from 30 to even 100k damage. Really depends on who you're hitting and if it's a crit or not. And death shock and a couple other things, unerring vision. But the nice thing is that's happening, so you're completely able to, like, the one shot right now is you would hit him with an aim shot from stealth, if from camo if you want, but you hit him with that death chakram, and then you hit him with explosive shot and volley, and then you go into your true shot rapid fire, and hopefully you have a kill shot proc that's in the back pocket. So once rapid fire is done, both explosive shots go off, and you have a 50 to 70k kill shot coming through, sometimes even 100k kill shot coming through. So it's kind of sneaky damage that can still one shot if the stars align.
Those damage combos are always the most fun, where you have like a delayed source of damage, and if you can line it up with like some other ability, or like if you can kind of abuse some travel times too with your spells. I've always loved those combos. Like, the quintessential one, right, from good old Wrath Lich King is like lava burst, chain lightning, or whatever. You press those and they land at the same time, and that's always really fun to do that. And it sounds like Marks has it. I didn't know that Marks had this combo, and so that's really fun. But I imagine that you can definitely clap some people with that damage, but I'm guessing when that doesn't work, you're kind of like, oh man, like,
Yeah.
Well, what's the delay? Like, what's your reset time for until you can do that again?
So the explosive shot itself's 30-second cooldown, and then salvos every 45-second with volley. And so outside of that initial burst window, death chakram is also 45 seconds. So outside of that burst window, you in that 45-second downtime, you are praying to whatever higher power, whatever you can pray to, that you're getting kill shot procs, because otherwise you're just not hitting the damage.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you're focused on. You have that 45-second window, and then it's kill shot procs and rapid fire and arcane shot and aim shots if you can during true shot. But
all right,
kind of where you're at.
All right, so try to kill, if not survive while hoping to get some more procs, and then 45 seconds, rinse and repeat, minus the whole from camo. So a little bit a little bit more obvious what you're trying to do. But okay, I mean, still, like, that's all right. I still got some. It's got some meat to it. Is there anything else aside from the capstones? Anything else in the MM side of the hunter tree that you're really interested in, or that you really want us to know about? Like,
absolutely.
What's up?
So I would say, because I mean, I'm guessing these are viewers from 0 CR marksmen to rank 1 or whatever. It doesn't matter what CR. But one thing that's an absolute trap for PvP for new marksman hunters is lone wolf. Absolute trap. Lone wolf means without a pet, you do 10% more damage. Sounds fantastic. More damage, now double tap's gone, give me the damage.
Mhm.
I can't recommend ever taking that. I have some friends that'll try to make it work with like a stealth opener, have lone wolf, do this crazy damage, and call out a pet if you need it. But calling out a pet takes the global cooldown. And then if you need your pet to attack somebody or freedom somebody, you have to wait a global cooldown for that to happen. And sometimes in this expansion, sometimes the global cooldowns is just too long.
Mhm.
So lone wolf is something that new marksmen love to take that, but I'm telling you, if you're playing marksman, and I have a few marksman friends out there that would that love lone wolf, but just if you're a new marksman, do not take lone wolf. Take a pet every time. You'll be happy about that for sure.
Question though,
Hmm.
like you could start off with a pet, and then let's say you just want that extra 10% because you know that you got that, you see it happening. Can you not dismiss the pet, get that instant 10% and on the burst, or is it still just a trap?
I feel like you're just hitting my sore points here. No, for whatever reason, hunters cannot dismiss a pet during an arena. They can't dismiss. So once it's out, it's out.
Ugh.
And also, in theory, if you could dismiss it, Lone Wolf isn't just an instant 10%. I don't have the number off the top of my head of how long it takes to get up to 10%, but it actually starts off as a ramping damage increase. It'll start off as 1%, 2%, 3%. So even in PvE, marksman hunters, if they're forced to lust, which is just such a bad word for marksman PvEers to
Mhm.
hear, they're forced to lust. They have to pull out a pet and lose Lone Wolf. Some of them will, like, during the boss fight, will try to dismiss their pet after a bloodlust, and that's just, I still don't do that. Your pet will still do 5 to 7% of your total damage, which isn't
Mhm.
10%, but in a single target fight, your pet still does decent damage.
Yeah.
Um, so
Okay. I didn't realize it was ramping though. That kind of sucks.
it does, and the dismiss thing, it
Yeah.
sucks a lot.
Just hope you go up against a warlock or a warrior, and they'll just cleave it dead for you anyway. But
Oh
I,
yeah,
f-
yeah.
I feel so bad right now for hunters because I mean I still haven't figured out the workaround of this. I'm sure there's an add-on, but you don't have pet frames anymore for some reason by default. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I've checked my UI to try to fix that, but I'm pretty sure healers just don't have pet frames for
Oh yeah.
their party. So I feel so bad when I get a hunter in my lobby because I'm like, oh man, this guy's pet is 100% gonna die, and there's nothing I can really do about it. But I just need some sort of add-on to figure that out. Um, I know like some healers can kind of passively keep the pets alive. Like I think evokers can just probably hit it with dream breath or whatever. But as a druid, I don't really have much AoE healing that I can splash onto the pet. So I know that pet's going to be dead quite a bit. I'm sure you've had your pet die countless times so far in solo shuffle. And
Yeah.
I I promise you, if I could heal your pet, I would, but I don't have the frame for it.
The amount of times I've had to pet management and move my pet, stop him attacking, move my pet off to Narnia and play dead. So he stays off in Narnia. It looks like he's dead, so no one hits him. Just so my ment pet can somewhat heal him. It's astounding, just astonishing how many times I have to do that out of the melee Zug Zug cleave. I have to get my pet out in Narnia, play dead, have him just sit there playing dead for get 20 seconds, and hopefully he'll get healed up. Because yeah, no healing frames. I don't know why that
Mhm.
is. You go in the settings, you turn it on, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's
Um,
very weird.
so
Huh.
RIP Hunter, BM Hunter really. That's a tough one if you're having that issue with BM too. So.
I
Yeah,
had no idea.
no fun. Yeah. TLDR, the pet is gonna die eventually.
Yeah.
And it's no one's fault. It's the game. It's the UI's fault.
And then you have a 3-second res time, which, man, that is the slowest 3 seconds of my life. You have to almost just turtle res, unfortunately. You go behind a pillar and you're just casting it, and you just see the melee coming, and they're
Oh
gonna
yeah.
get there before it's over with.
Oh yeah.
It's awful. It's awful.
All right. While we dismay the loss of all the pets that have died in arena, is there any other talents that either you think are worthwhile talking about, or that players should avoid because they're just again traps?
Yeah, I think we kind of briefly talked about Wailing Arrow. Such a cool ability introduced in Shadowlands with the Sylvanas bow. Does not hit hard right now. It's a minute cooldown. Doesn't hit hard. I want it to hit hard. That'd be awesome, but it doesn't. So I'd avoid those. I'd really avoid the entire bottom right of the tree. So all the Windrunner stuff, all the Wailing Arrow stuff. Unfortunately for now, avoid it. Just not worth it. The proc rate's not high. The damage is just not there. PvEers don't take it. And if PvEers don't take it, that tells you, hey, it's not doing much for damage. So. The one I guess we could talk about is Tactical Reload, because that's the replacement of Double Tap,
Mhm.
and how on paper it sounds just so bad. 10% reduced cooldown to aim shot and rapid fire. I see what Blizzard was trying to do. You know, the way you look at double tap is in a 1 minute span, you get a free aim shot or an additional free rapid fire, right? That's kind of that's all it really does. So by reducing the cooldowns, they're trying to give you more rapid fires and more aim shots in that minute span to make up for the loss. You don't feel it. Some people don't take it in PvP. You know, you take it if you have an extra point, but you're not. It's not going to make that much of a difference, unfortunately. Um, and so you can take it, but I definitely I'm taking it right now. But um, that's that's only, and I think actually tonight I'm gonna take it out. So it's just not it hurts to look at it. Like seeing a great cooldown that's been replaced with just such
A passive.
a bad pass. 1 second cooldown off of your aim shot, really? Like that's it? Like that feels so bad. It's just a slap in the face, and
Well,
unfortunately, it feels that way.
that's so funny too, because like assassination rogues, I mean, they got their Kingsbane replaced with a passive, but it just so happens that the passive that replaced Kingsbane is insane. You know, the AoE shiv everyone's complaining about. So like, sometimes you're happy if your ability gets removed, but in this case you're not, because it does seem a bit mediocre, like 10% off the cooldown. Like who cares, right? Like
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, that brings me to jelly beans, which I'm not trying to shout out people, but I mean jelly beans is just great. I think everyone knows that.
Yeah.
But he had a thing in a stream where once this news came out, Double Tap is gone. You can imagine that his stream just blew up with people freaking out, right? So he had a command in there about Double Tap, and his quote was perfect. It's like, if it being removed could be good. If they replace it with something that is decent compensation, marksman's fine. If not, see you next patch. It's pretty much kind of his viewpoint. I don't think it's that bad, but I do think that like in a high end setting, yeah, that not having sufficient compensation really just drops marksman to a lower level for sure.
Hmm. That's just unfortunate. Well, hopefully, I mean, this is a living game. It's not nothing's done and done. I mean, we're seeing that already with more classes getting some revamps and everything. So you never know. Maybe they'll tweak it a little bit and give it up. I guess in the meantime, all we can say is if you're a marksman hunter, you have a choice. You can either go to the forums and give them what you think about how it feels, or you can re-roll to survival or BM, right? Or
I
I'm
hear
kidding.
I hear assassination rogue's good too.
I heard that too.
apparently, yeah.
It's gonna get nerfed soon. Ceda's been
Oh yeah,
tweeting about it, so.
yeah. I'll have him tweet out some marksman changes too. See if he can help me out there a little bit.
All right. I think.
Speaking before
Sorry.
we change topics, it's crazy the pace at which they're doing tuning these days.
Yeah.
I mean, it's making it it's a nightmare for me when I'm having to up it. Like what? I'm just gonna go on a little tangent here. We were supposed to release a 3v3 tier list like last month,
Yep.
or like a few weeks ago. Okay, and so we had everything ready. We're like, okay, sweet. Then, bam, I think it's January 9th, hot fixes happened. And that's when Ret Pally's got all those insane buffs. So we're like, okay, let's go back to the drawing board. We'll just reorganize the tier list a little bit. Ret Pally's seemed pretty good. We're fine. And then, so we had the video completely ready. Then, bam, like the 10.5 patch got bumped up and there was a bunch of like new hot fixes. And it was like, man, like, how do you even keep up with the game? Like every week there's something new that's like broken. And I
Yep.
mean, the game is just changing like crazy. I mean, I like it, but at the same time, it's kind of disorientating. Like, oh my god, like
Well,
the things are getting rebalanced like nuts these days. It's
well, especially if you're being a
crazy.
content creator, like the skill cap videos that are put out. I mean, there's a lot of production time behind it. It's not just somebody sitting down in front of the patch notes and just kind of
Yeah,
throwing something up and like, yeah, okay, here you go, you guys. Like, no, you guys, like, there's a lot of work put behind that to make it work and to be as accurate as possible. So, if it takes a week to do that, and every week there's hot fixes coming through, yeah, sorry guys, that
yeah. But
yeah,
it's fun for the players, you know. That's what's important. Well, it's so fun for some people, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe not the Mark Centers getting their ability removed, but you know, everyone else.
yeah.
These changes are quite
I'm gonna be
exciting.
I'm a glass half full kind of guy in this situation though, honestly. After seeing the ret changes, like the whole they're revamping, man, I'm not worried about marks at all, to be honest. I think they have ample opportunities to adjust some of these talents that aren't being used. Or even True Shot, even adjust that. I think Blizzard's gonna come back. I don't think they've forgotten about marks yet. I think they're just seeing where they're at before they make any changes. But I bet we get some changes here, maybe even before season 2, honestly.
I have a question. Speaking of things that are forgotten, I don't want to forget about PvP talents
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because that's important. That's the thing that makes PvP fun is all these little talents. So
Yeah,
you got quite a few choices though. I just want to rhyme them off quickly here. So you got Chimerial Sting, Consecutive Concussion, Diamond Ice, Dragon Scale Armor, Hunting Pack, Interlope, Ranger's Finesse, Roar Sacrifice, Sniper Shot, Survival Tactics, Tranquilizing Darts, True Shot Mastery, and Wild Kingdom. If I remember correctly, like of all the times we've had people talking about hunters on before, there's always like 2 that are guaranteed and then a third one that's the situational or whatever. Is that still the case?
yeah, especially for marks. BM, you could argue a little bit, but yeah, marks, you're going to be running. I would say it's just safe to always run Roar Sacrifice. Pretty much into any comp. I think that's just a must. Maybe against Destrolox, but I would still run it. Just Roar Sacrifice is so nice. And then Survival Tactics, you are just kind of forced into that as a hunter in general at this point because they're so squishy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, those are your 2 main ones. The other, there's variability, but really Chimeral Sting is going to be your next go-to as marks. That's, you can't interchange that one, but if you run Chimeral Sting, Roar Sacrifice, and Survival Tactics for 95% of your games, you're fine. Trank Darts, you can run that against Resto Druids and Preservation Evokers are the 2 that I really love running Trank Darts into. Those are the best ones because they're so hot reliant that you can really just strip those away and really make it a headache for them. Uh, the other ones can be situational. I personally like consecutive concussion into solo shuffle. If there's a DK and a warrior, I know I'm the target the entire game. They're not looking at anyone else. I know that's me. Consecutive concussion really slows down warriors a lot. Makes it so your concussive shots is 70% slow, 100% uptime is really really nice. Um, Diamond Ice is a trap that literally it's a trap and a kind of a trap play as well. You want to run that against like DH or Shadow Priest, but the reduction, you go from a 7-second to a 5-second CC, it just makes it not feel good. Undispellable, but just doesn't make it feel good. So I don't really run Diamond Ice, and the only 2 I would run it into would be Shadow Priest or DH, and even then I still really don't. Um,
Okay.
you I've seen people mess around with all the other talents too, besides Interlope and Ranger's Finesse. But really, the 3 you're looking at, Chimeral Sting, Survival Tactics, and Roar Sacrifice, are just across the board, just such a great toolkit there.
All right.
I think Diamond Ice too. Like I was in a lobby earlier today actually with 2 hunters, and I think that's probably one of the cases where one of them should probably go
Yes.
Diamond. Because you're probably not going to get much value out of that second trap, especially if both of them are playing scatter too. So I think Diamond Ice is really weird because when that ability first came out, I was like, man, this is going to be game changing. But then it wasn't really widely adopted too much, probably because it's just kind of weird to use. I know back in the day, Dilly Poo I think he used to play it when he played jungle because don't remember if it was Legion. There was an expansion where Diddlypoo played jungle and just trained healers all game. And I'm pretty sure they played Diamond Dice when doing that. They're just like trap a DPS, train the healer. So I think it's like really good in very specific situations, but it's kind of hard to like use by yourself, right? Like that's kind of the problem with it. Interlope is interesting too. Like when you read it, like wow, it's like an intervene kind of. But imagine it's just kind of too hard to use like consistently.
Yeah, it's such a skill cap. I used to use it against Destrolocks and really use it with BM primarily. But Destrolocks, like not this expansion, I haven't touched it, but Chaos Bolts, intervening those. But now that your res pet's on such a long cooldown, or not cooldown, long cast time, and your pet dies to just air, I just can't take Interlope anymore. It's cool, high skill cap, but it's still hard to use, and I just don't know if it's worth it right now with the fragility of hunter pets. Um,
All
True
right.
Shot True Shot Master is the last one I'll talk about. That one's interesting though. With I talked about it earlier with calling the shots. That could be something that I know Jelly's played with it a little bit. I've messed with it a little bit. I'm sure tons of other marksmen have messed with it, but reducing your True Shots cooldown to less than a minute and a half. Like I was on average, I timed it out on a PVE dummy, and I was getting my True Shots every minute and 12 seconds. PvP it's gonna be a little longer than that because you don't have that uptime on aim shot, but there might be potential with that. That might be something we see more Marxes using going forward.
And really quick, because I didn't even know Sniper Shot existed. What's the problem with Sniper Shot? Because reading it seems pretty decent. On a 10-second cooldown, you can just remove 20% of their HP. But is that like reduced by armor or something?
It is. I actually have been using it lately, more and more on specific solo shuffle comps, really. But the problem is what you mentioned earlier. You have to stand still, and standing still for
3-second cast.
Yeah, I think mine's 2.7 because I'm using some haste right now. But yeah, it's rough. I was using it on Blade's Edge against Frostmage Shadow Priest because I'm not going in there. I'm I'm not going in there. Right, that's bad. So I was using Sniper Shot, and it gives you 40% increased range, and I'm sniper shotting from a mile away, and then getting a pretty big chunky burst out. I think it's super situational, and I don't recommend taking it. But against that comp, it felt really clean. It was my top damage at the end of the game too. So um, it's got potential for sure if you use it right. I know some hunters will use it in their one shot they'll open up with a sniper shot with at a camo. That could be good, but Chimeral Sting is just so good into so many things.
One interaction it always upsets me when I forget about this. The Chimera silence goes through my Tranquility immune. So if I'm channeling Trank with a Chimeral debuff on me when it's the Scorpid debuff, and it turns into the silence in the middle of my Trank, even though I'm immune, it will silence me and cancel my Trank. And it's happened to me it's happened to me, I think, recently. And oh my god, I'm like, oh,
I didn't know
damn.
that's
And
a thing.
yeah, it's pretty good. And yeah, you can't dispel it as a healer too because you just get silenced. Like dispelling it doesn't really do anything. Kind of in some ways bad to dispel it. So it's interesting. It's an interesting little ability. It's
Yeah.
definitely one of those things that just creates a lot of mind games for the healer. It just kind of confuses them. Like, what do I do about this? Do I dispel it? No, that's bad. I'll get silenced.
That's hard to time out too because it doesn't silence right away. You have to
Yeah.
blows you first and then silences after 3 seconds. So you got to really like stopping the Trank. That's actually maybe I've done that. I just haven't even noticed it to be honest. That's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty broken if you can manage. Yeah, because even through the immunity, it works.
Duly
Just yeah,
noted. I'm gonna use that.
There we go.
very nice.
We're all learning stuff tonight. This is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have to ask tier sets because they are a thing. They're PvE tier sets, but they're in PvP. So what do you know for marksman? Is it the 2-piece? Is it the 4-piece? Are you doing no piece because it doesn't help? I mean, it kind of looks neat. I mean, the arcane shot and multi-shot crits cause aim shot to then bleed also. That sounds really awesome. And then the ranged auto attacks have a 15% chance of your next arcane shot or multi-shot has a 100% chance to crit. To critically hit.
It,
Those are both nice.
it is. It is. So with double tap gone, and now everyone's getting their tier sets. Now you're like, okay, great. I'll be saved. You really run 2-set. I haven't experimented with 4-set much. The 2-set, it is out of all the 300 specs, Marksman tier is the worst. It is the most underwhelming. The reason why I say that, the first one looks like it's just great, right?
Yeah.
Aim shot's going to do crazy. PvEers are on a single target fighter, getting that to be about 5% damage, which is like, okay, that's 5% damage increase. PvP, since aim shot's hard to get off consistently, you're looking at like 2 to 3% top, unfortunately. Unless you're not getting focused, then you can maybe bump it up. But I did a little mental math, but aim shot right now against plate users, you're hitting like anywhere from 30 to maybe 60k if you're getting lucky on an aim shot. Discreased mind blast can hit harder than that. So you take 40k, you take 40% of that, you're hitting 16k dot damage. It's okay. It's not anything crazy. The four piece, I think so right now on paper, most marksman hunters are not using it, and I think that also is due to the stat weights you get on the other armor pieces, and not getting versed on some pieces. But I think that one actually might be okay because I've hit some hard arcane shots, but most marksmen aren't playing the 4 right now. I'm gonna get my 4-piece this week, and I'm gonna play with it and see how I feel about it. But generally speaking, you go 2-piece, and you ideally want the shoulders and the chest is kind of the go-to for that.
Okay. Interesting. Well, can you let us know how it goes?
Yeah, absolutely. I hope it goes well. I really hope I like it. But
One can
we'll
only
see.
hope. I guess I'm wondering the 2-piece because do I remember correctly? You were saying that their aim shot is nerfed in PvP,
Yes.
so that's also why the damage is much lower in PvP. Not only because you're barely getting the shots off because cast times and everything, but
Mhm.
then it's also nerfed, so it's even worse off than in PvE.
Yeah, there's a specific talent that's oh goodness, what's that? Or not? Yeah, it's called Careful Aim. Aim shot deals 50% bonus to targets above 50% health, and that's in PvP is either 25 to 30%. And then I think there's also an aura. This one I might not be right about. I think there's also an aura debuff over aim shot in PvP. It's something like anywhere from like 20 to 30% as well. I'm pretty sure aim shot does not do full damage in PvP right now. That one I might be wrong about, but I know the talent does have that aura on it in PvP for
Okay.
sure.
That sucks. All
Yeah.
right. Okay. I guess so. You actually mentioned stat weighting.
Mhm.
What's the stats that we want in PvP? Obviously versatility because versus king,
Yes.
right?
You start having that DR after that 30% ish range. I don't remember the exact DR. 30 and 40 have a DR to it, but generally you want to get to 30% verse, and then you'll see a lot of higher end marksmen's, and myself kind of included for the stat here. You actually typically want to go mastery, haste, crit. Most
Okay.
marksmen are opting into haste, mastery, crit at the moment. I think a lot of that has to do with you're on the move a lot, and also just reducing cooldowns and just kind of being able to get out more arcane is nice. Mastery will do more damage for you overall than haste.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I think also a big thing is if you want to multi-spec, haste is just amazing for BM and for survival. So I think until they uncap conquest, most marksmen are going to lean towards a little bit more haste. That being said, I'm enchanting full mastery right now to try to compensate a little bit more. But yeah, that's always been in the air, even through Shadowlands. Haste versus mastery, which one's better? On paper, mastery is, but then all these top players are using haste. So
Interesting. I think that always
It's
becomes.
it,
Sorry. Go
it's a
ahead.
very I think haste is just a comfort stat, like people generally like just the faster globals, sort of like the responsiveness. Because it's really interesting if you look at like a lot of PvE stat distributions, like for a lot of classes, like crit is really, really good, like disproportionately good. But no one ever really stacks crit in PvP. I think like the only class that does is like Devastation Evoker, I think, wants crit and mastery and very little haste. But I think it just winds up being just like, yeah, people are used to playing fast and they just want that sort of fast PvP experience. So
yeah,
that's my explanation, at least.
I
I,
think
I,
Go ahead. Sorry.
I won't totally disagree with you because I know there's there's a bunch of specs where it feels like the timing on the abilities are set up where they expect you to hit a certain haste breakpoint to make it feel more responsive to play that class. But I will also argue that, it depends. I guess it kind of depends on the mastery and how much of a bonus it is. That if you're casting off more XYZ spells or abilities within a certain time frame, if you actually crunch that where you're getting off that extra ability, it can almost balance out how much the difference of mastery there, where it's almost equal, right? That you're getting off more, so your hits aren't bigger, but if you're hitting more times per minute, then the damage is still equal if you're doing slow big hits.
Yeah, like for druid, like for me, like playing a druid, it's like, okay, I have 5 seconds until I get CC'd, and in that 5-second window, if I have a lot of haste, I could put up my HOTS or whatever. But if I don't, if I don't have a lot of haste, there's a chance that I don't get that, that 5th global to press, and
Exactly.
that just kind of feels bad. It's kind of like, in some ways, I wish like haste were just kind of normalized and everyone just kind of had it, because I think like crit and mastery are a bit more fun. I mean, yeah,
I think
maybe
haste has its place, though.
haste has its place, that for sure. Yeah,
I will say haste does not stack well with aim shot at all. Unfortunately, you would think it would. It does not. So you'd like, oh, more haste. I could really get a fast aim shot off in that.
Yeah.
Mastery stacks so much better with aim shot itself. Just so like it's infinitely better. And then you mentioned crit earlier. I'm pretty sure crit isn't crit damage reduced in PvP across the board? Instead of 200% damage, isn't it 150%?
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
They flip flopped on that. Oh gosh, I should know this, but I'm pretty sure crit is 200% though now, or it's 175 maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
175, but maybe it's 200. I don't remember.
No, I don't think they brought it back up to 200 yet.
Okay.
I think it depends how you look, because I think that it was like it was a 50% bonus instead of a 100% bonus, which would then make it 200%. And I think they brought it up to 75%, which then, like I said, makes it 175.
Yeah, in Shadowlands they brought it up again because they nerfed it in Warlords of Draenor. I made a video about this whole change. So yeah, it was one of those changes that people just didn't like. It happened in the background, but it was so important for like the game. Like it just changed the game. Crazy.
Yeah.
Who knew?
And here we are. Racials. I mean,
Sure.
What are we looking at?
Unfortunately, with the whole Dragonflight change to trinkets, things really swapped around. It kind of made Orc not as good anymore. Beforehand, it was Orc or Human or just don't play, pretty much. Is basically how the PvP community looked at Hunter. Nowadays, it's Alliance or don't play. You're looking at number 1, Night Elf. Shadow Meld has a high skill ceiling, but it can be the best racial in the game by far if you play it right. You can meld Chaos Bolts, you can meld CC, you can meld Fears, you can meld, if you do it right, you can meld a lot of things. After that, I'd say Human would be number 2, mainly because you don't need to break free trinket as much. So you could run Battlemaster, which Hunter needs some defense, so that helps, or double DPS. And then Dark Iron Dwarf is going to be your third, with just how potent bleeds and everything are right now. Being a Dark Iron Dwarf is just so nice to be able to purge everything off. If you want to play Horde, Orc is still going to be your best. They're going to say Orc, maybe Troll. I personally play Undead. I love Undead. And is Will of the Forsaken great? It's all right. But yeah, Orc is going to be your go-to for Horde pretty much.
It's kind of funny how they implemented the new trinket set bonus to try to like kind of passively nerf Orc and Human, and I think in some ways it was like this weird buff to Human, because now I see a lot of players run double damage trinket or BM damage trinket, and it's scary, like that extra damage or that extra utility of the BM trinket is somehow seems almost just as good, and I'm sure you've seen on the Gladius here, like this person's not running a trinket. They're a human. They're just running double damage trinkets and probably pumping some damage too.
mean,
But
all last expansion I played human because I loved not using a trinket. I mean, as a hunter, the only thing you're going to trinket is stun, or you're going to trinket a fear or something like that to get a kick on mind games, or to do something, to save somebody. But hunter doesn't have saves really, so
Mhm.
uh, double damage and having BM trinket is just so nice as a hunter. But I've decided to go back to undead for whatever reason.
You know, I have a question. This is like kind of off the wall, but with the changes that they're making, where they're expanding the number of races that can play different classes and that, I don't even know. Is there any races that you can't play as a hunter? And if so, which ones would you like to see added into that?
Gosh, I'd have to check some of the allied races, but I don't think there are any off the top of my head that can't be hunters. I think every
Okay.
Oh, that's gonna. I mean, I don't know about Lightforged Draenei because I just don't see them, but I think every race can be a hunter at the moment.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Uh,
I just thought of that and I'm like, now I don't even know the answer to that question.
yeah, I'm pretty sure all of them can
Oops.
be.
You're probably right.
But yeah, I don't know
Okay.
what one wouldn't be.
I'm just imagining, like mechanomes running around trying to shoot people.
You got the two robot pets. It works perfectly, man. It looks
Right?
it's perfect. Yeah.
do you think Tauren Hunter is okay, like at all? Like maybe having the ability to War Stomp trap and having like additional stamina, is that or that and the crit multiplier?
Is it sad that when you asked that, the first thing I thought of was, oh, more stam. That's good. Like I didn't think
Yeah.
about War Stomp. I was like, less dying. Yeah, maybe. I would say, yeah, I'd throw that in there. I mean, I think it's going to be probably better than equal to Troll, maybe. And I put, honestly, Undead's probably equal to Troll as well. Like, I think it's Orcish is better than all of them, but I could see Tauren being all right.
Man,
Not better.
if I lost to a male Tauren hunter, I'd be livid. I'd be like, oh my god, because Taurens always look so dumb, and like the way they hold the if you have like a gun as a Tauren,
Uh,
they hold it at their hip. It just looks very silly,
no,
like
they don't need to aim.
goofy. No.
Shoot from the hip. It's funny because the first thing you said, and I was thinking of, I know it's a survival ability, but have them do the do the leap and then war stomp. So just imagine you like, and now I instantly have like this IK edit version of a video in my head of this bullvine just flying across the arena to land on somebody and war stomp them. It's
Harpoon in. That'd be terrifying.
yeah, right.
That's interesting though. You'd macro that in, right? /moo with harpoon.
Heck yeah. And that's how Gerissar got canceled. Okay. Instead of talking about racials and what different races you can play, what are you playing with in comps? Like, what do you even play twos as a marksman?
You can. BM and survival are way better and way easier to do well with. Even survival, which is considered a harder spec, I think is a lot easier in twos than Marks is, in my opinion. But you can. I think the nice thing about marksman in twos is it does open up double DPS a little bit more. Sub rogue marksman can be good. At least in Shadowlands, it was really fun to play in twos. Otherwise, you'd want to play with a healer, Resto Druid preferably. But at that point, I mean, BM and survival just end up usually being a bit easier for you. Especially now that your burst is a little harder. But I would say I personally will, if it's not a sub rogue, I'm gonna play with a healer for twos. That's not having healing and just being the target is not fun. So it's a lot of running. um,
I feel like sub rogue is like the unrespected meta rogue. I feel, and I know assassination has like this OP damage right now, but I feel like sub rogue is an unnoticed threat on that table.
Once Thin Rogue gets nerfed, and we're like, yes, finally, no more rogues. Sub Rogue is coming out of the woodworks, and we're all gonna be wishing that Sub Rogue would not exist. I know, that's my least favorite class to play against.
I literally tweeted that the other day. I was like, man, like sub is on paper really, really good. And I think right now it is really good. It's just like kind of, people are playing the main spec, right? The the broken thing. But like when they play if they play double vanish with the cooldown reduction, like man, it's so hard to play around. I don't think they play the cooldown reduction right now because I think you can't really afford it with talent points that easily. But plus, like, I mean, Shadow or Secret Technique still does a lot of damage, and there's all the random execution test stuff you need to remember against sub rogues. Like, okay, trinketed the smoke bomb, but now they have Shadowy Duel. Like all this stuff they just have is like really obnoxious, and so I'd much prefer like an assassination rogue meta than a sub rogue meta for sure.
Me too. Me too. Like I hate when I'm playing sub rogues. Like last expansion, it just gives me That's why I went human. Actually, that's the only reason. Is because I was sick of sub rogues. I needed relentless. When you're playing against a sub rogue and the only button on your entire keyboard that dictates the game is trinket, when you use that button, if you use it wrong, you lose instantly. It's just not fun for me to play against. Like, trinketed the kidney, and now he's got smoke bomb next. You die in the smoke bomb.
Yeah.
You trinket that, you have Shadowy Duel, you die in the shadow. It's just that trinket is so valuable against sub rogue.
Yeah,
It makes or breaks it.
For sure.
I guess then adaptation versus trinket and racial versus a bunch of different choices. What about in the threes though? What are you playing?
So jungle's still going to be your king for I mean, it's kind of the same thing where now Marks is lower, so most jungle players are going to want to play with BM and survival. And even though Feral got nerfed, jungle's still going to be your best bet. If you're marksman though, I love Thug Cleave so much. Not with an assassination rogue. I mean, that's great. They assassination rogue kills everybody on the field and you just can, aim shot or whatever. But Thug Cleave, when played correctly with a good sub rogue, and I love Resto Druid with it too because it just adds to the fun. That is some scary stuff. You saw a little bit of it with AWC, with
Yep.
Bigmex and Rat, and Rat did the most. I think it's Rat, right? That's
Yep.
yeah. The dirtiest play, I think it was to a Resto Druid, I think of AWC, where you got the stun, you got the trap, and then Rat went over and gouged, and then blinded, and then sapped, and then Shadowy dueled him, and then kidneyed him, because by the time he got done with all of those, the DR's off. So he was able to kidney the Druid. The Druid could not play the game because of the sub-rogue, and it was just like the dirtiest thing I've seen happen. I felt so bad for that Druid. But you also could play, Cupid's good. It's lesser. You could KFC's all right now. Hunter Shadow Priest Scatterplay is super underrated in my opinion. Not many people talk about that, but that's really nice.
Mhm.
And then one that doesn't get talked about too much either. I don't know if as a comp name, but Marksman DH or BMDH is even better. But DH Hunter is really fun, and does work really really well.
Huh.
And then you also have PhDK as well. Would be the last one I think I'd recommend. But Unholy just loves breaking your traps nowadays, so I feel like you have to play Diamond Ice with it to get any value. But that one's still pretty fun.
Okay. I've never heard of Hunter DH. Have you heard of that one? They're big.
It got to the grand finals of BlizzCon. What was it? 2017 or whatever. Yes, there was. I know that Jelly Beans played to get to the grand finals. I know it's not that popular right now on ladder. I think Jungle has just been kind of like the Hunter comp for all three of the specs.
Yep.
But
I don't think
Oops.
Demon Hunters are kind of like a jack of all trades. They can just kind of play with anything because they bring an MS effect, have an AoE stun, have a bunch of utility, so it's just kind of good with everything. But I can imagine if you play that, like you could probably catch a lot of teams like off guard right now because you're probably not used to that combat at all.
Yeah. I think that's really the big thing is when people aren't used to playing against it, then they're having to scramble to learn how to combat. It's not a rote response.
Mm-hmm.
I think we answered the shadow the solo shuffle viability already, and I think you pretty much explained how you win. So the most important question in my mind is how do I kill you?
Well, I think the biggest thing is melee is going to be the first one you talk about. Like you have with Hunter, you have disengage, you have Master's Call, Freedom. You have Feign Death, and you have Turtle, or you're kind of in Sack and Exil. But those are your defensives. So as a melee, most have gap closers. If you were training the hunter, you see him disengage. If you match that with one of your gap closers, or can stop the disengage, mid disengage with a stun, that's one less getaway. You want to keep uptime. Hunters do not have the durability to last. So if you keep slows on them and then kind of counteract their getaways. They have Master's Call as well. So once they freedom and disengage, they're not getting away from you very easily without roots and without help. So you stay on them. The biggest thing I can mention too is, and this, I love fighting against warriors and DHs for this reason. They train you all game. Be aware of where your healers are, because the amount of times I'm able to pull a warrior behind a pillar and then we go him because he's just zug-zugging. Pay attention to where your healers are. And I think Big is going to appreciate that too. So, but
Yes.
if you can force Turtle early, really panic them and force Turtle early, you have a really high chance of winning that game. So if you get them in a spear and they don't have help from a healer with sometimes you can grip them out or rescue them out, or like Dome or Paints Up or something like that. They don't have an answer to that, and you get a Turtle early. It's looking really good for you for the rest of the game to just continue training them.
Cool. I like it. It sounds like it's not just an easy just push over. Obviously you have to get through a bunch of the cooldowns, but so long as you have that consistent pressure, you're going to take them down.
Yeah, the way I look at it when I'm playing personally, I feel like if I get touched, I die, right? So my entire goal is I'm just trying not to get touched, which is why you don't aim shot as much, because you're just trying to get out of there. If I'm in a spear, I'm expecting big major cool. Like I'm gonna have to wall or feign or blow some cooldowns, overlap even, because hunters are just not durable to just stand there and take the hits. So I feel like if I get connected onto, I'm terrified. You got to keep running. You got to keep running.
Fair enough. Sounds like some other classes I know that are similar. They like to play from far away, because if you touch them, they'll just flop over.
Exactly.
Big. Do you want to do the most important question of them all?
Oh, I would love to. So this is a question we ask. There's no right answer. That's entirely theoretical. But if you had unlimited power, influence, whatever, and you could change one thing about WoW, what would be that one thing you'd want to change?
Ooh, about WoW. I was expecting this to be about Hunter and specific.
It can be hunter specific, but it's kind of just
Oh,
open ended.
about WoW. One thing I would change.
Big likes to go big on this one.
Yeah. Oh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Yeah, I want to say my top two I'm thinking of right now is, as much as I love killing people quickly, the one shots just gotta go. That includes double tap. Like, no one likes playing the game and you just like accidentally get exploded and you have no idea what just hit you. And they're working on that. That or CC duration, specifically kidney shot. CC duration or CC cooldown. Like, everyone and their mother, this expansion has just way more crowd control than they've ever had. That gets kind of frustrating to play against, especially, I'm sure, Big, for you, it has to be really annoying. You're just CC'd 70% of the game. I think those are one of the two things I would change. Either one shot potentials, or maybe finding a way to balance CC, whether that's lowering the CC duration on kidney shot and others, or increasing their cooldowns by a little bit or something like that. Or maybe not being so free. Like, you know what I mean? Like, all cooldowns or all CC is just so free nowadays. Like, instant CC is just so abundant.
Yeah.
So a CC
What-
revamp.
What about you, Big? What would you change?
Right now, actually, there's so many UI issues that are so
Oh,
aggravating, like
yeah.
that I think is the number one thing I would change right now. Like, I'm sure you've had that problem where your FPS just tanks to like 0 and you can't see any of your cooldowns on your bars. Like, that's very weird. I when that happens in the middle of a solo shuffle like game, it's like, oh no, like you're gonna be playing the game like it's a PowerPoint presentation, and so that's not fun. Plus, like all the weird crashes that the add-ons have because they're trying to interact with weird elements of your UI, and then you have to like disable big debuffs mid-game, or all that sort of stuff is just really fundamentally aggravating. So that's what I would change right now at this moment. Gerissar, what about you?
So that's what I love it how even when you get rid of all your add-ons, you still get UI errors because the Blizzard UI itself is having interaction errors with itself. Like
that's funny.
Yeah. Side last night, I was talking to a guildie, and they accidentally, I want to say they were milling herbs, and they accidentally double tapped or double clicked to mill all, and instead of doing the normal like 1.5 second per, it like reduced it by like a crazy, so it was like a quarter second, and it was just like they're just ripping through all their herbs, but their UI error count was skyrocketing at the same speed. Like one thing I would change, I'm going to be controversial. I am going to bring Strand of the Ancient Battleground back into the game.
It's old school. I think I'm lucky enough to have on my achievements like a victory in rated Strand of the Ancients.
Wow.
Yeah, because I think they removed it literally the first season of Cataclysm. I don't remember, but it wasn't in the game for long.
As a rated, no.
Yeah, as a rated, no.
No.
But did they remove it as an actual battleground too?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god, I didn't even know.
Yeah,
that's
they
crazy.
removed it a long while ago. Back in, I want to say BFA.
I always liked that map.
Yeah, me too.
Felt fun.
Kind of just popped an idea in my brain real quick too, like RBGs. Wouldn't that be awesome if they found a way to revamp that system where they're like more appealing and more viable? Like I don't know, somehow bringing that into like the competitive scene, like an esport of like an RBG or something like that. I think that'd be really cool if done well, of course. But making that like a legit content would be. I mean, it is legit content. You guys know what I'm saying though? Like,
They need to re-incentivize it.
Yeah.
Don't disagree.
That'd be cool. Like a 5v5 Warsong Gulch or something like that, or I don't know. Something cool would be an awesome change to the PvP scene for sure.
Indeed, we've talked about that. I'm not gonna lie. It's the things we would do if we had the money. Yeah. In the meantime, though, rather than talking about the things we would do, let's see what's actually happened and talk about WoW PvP news.
All right. Who ordered up an extra large can of whoop ass?
All right. Now that Millhouse is done, big. I'm going to ask you, can you do the AWC Cup 1 and 2 and talk about that little first piece?
Yeah, so every week, or weekend rather, there's been tournaments that have been broadcasted now on Twitch and I believe YouTube. So we just had the AWC Cup 1 and Cup 2 conclude in the last 2 weekends. So Cup 1 on the EU side, we had the winning team be the Agents, which is Asgrath, Brunity, Mercy, and Zepai. And then on NA, Luminosity Gaming, which is Brain, Prev, Jersey, and Ceralium. They were victorious for that region. And then last weekend, we had Poggers win on EU. So that's Waz, Raikou, Chanimal, and Meh. And then on NA, Luminosity Gaming won yet again. It was really exciting mirror match with Golden Guardians. I always like Rogue Shadow Priest mirrors are always really exciting because crazy stuff just happens. So yeah, that was exciting. And then again, we're going to have another tournament this weekend and then the following weekend as well. So just be on the lookout for that. There was also some hot fixes that were posted, I believe, actually today. I think they're January 30th yesterday. Sorry, some random hot fixes. It just seems like every other day there's a string of hot fixes.
Yeah.
So you can always find the
it's hard to keep up with all these. Like you're talking before, like it's just like every day there's a change. It's a bug fix, or it's like a tuning fix, and it's like, man.
The nice thing is if you just bookmark the page, it will automatically update to the newest set of hotfixes. I don't think you have to go and find them once you just know where to look.
No.
So that's nice. Some exciting news in Wrath Classic. Cross Realm Instance PvP is happening now, and I don't think you can cross faction queue though. It's just cross realm.
Yep.
So that's really exciting. I mean, that's a good quality of life change. It's a sensible quality of life change, in my opinion. No reason why that shouldn't happen. By the way, if you can't see other realms in LFG, you still need to visit some websites, Discords, or whatever to find people to make a. I'm sorry. You can't see other realms in LFG, so you need to use some external tools to group with people outside of your realm if you don't like have them, I guess, on battle tag. And then
you can make a character on another server if you want to.
Yeah.
Right? To at least like find people and then like link up B-nuts and all that. But yeah, it's either way, it's a good change. Not gonna lie.
And then on top of that, some servers and realms have been unlocked. I think it's Benediction for NA was the realm that was one of the main realms that was locked. I don't remember what the realms are on EU. They have funny names. But anyway, so that's exciting. Then if you've been out of the loop, the patch 10.0.5 dropped, what was it, last Tuesday?
Yep.
A week ago. Changed some things up with the game. There are some bugs, of course. I mean, it seems like there's just a ton of problems with
it delayed the
function.
AWC.
Yeah, I heard about that. So
yeah, people were DCing if you're attacking from stealth. So feral druids and rogues, when they attack from stealth, they DC'd.
I heard someone got mind control disconnected.
Yep,
and
that was
they actually
too.
lost. They lost. They got the solo shuffle punishment or whatever for leaving. So that's kind of unfortunate. Oh, Josh, I want to change the thing that I would change now.
Too late.
But anyway, I'll do it next week. Okay, or next time. The trading post opened. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it's a bunch of fun little activities. I mean, Gerissar, I'm guessing you know more about this than I do.
Yeah. So the trading post, it's like an iteration on the black market auction house. So you're able to go and visit the trading post. They will give you some trading tenders or tendies, currency specifically for that, and then you can use that to buy whatever they happen to be selling that week. As I understand it, the items for sale are going to be on rotation, and then you'll get, I think it's the one time a month when you first visit them, they'll give you like a satchel of tendies, and then you have to do a quest. And the quest is just going out and just doing normal stuff you're normally doing, like go do your arenas, go do your BGs, go do PvE content, whatever it is, and then add, no different than what we're seeing with the Catalyst quest as well, right? And then once you're done that, you'll also get some more tender quest, and there's the trading tender currency to then again buy whatever they want or they have on it right now at the time. So by all means, it's supposed to be opening. I think they said tomorrow. Effectively, so I'll probably be tomorrow NA, or maybe it's open right now. I haven't been logged in yet, so there's that, and then I'll probably be EU tomorrow, day after, one of those two. So go in there, get that first satchel, so at least you have that first bankroll in your currency tab, because if you miss out on that, then it'll be super sad if you go to buy something and it's like, oh yeah, if only like 3 weeks ago you'd seen us before, you would have had enough tenders now, but oops, oh well, so there's that. I forgot to write it in here. I should probably also make a mention talking about the Catalyst quest. I misspoke. I thought I understood what was happening, but the way the Catalyst quest worked, we misspoke last episode. And now that I've actually done it, and actually read the blue post. I understand. So yeah, apologies for that if I gave anybody misinformation. And hopefully you had a chance to try it now. It seems much better in that you just do a quest, you pick up the quest, you can do it on any of your characters, get it completed, and then all your characters have the charge to then use to make it tier Ps, which is cool. A couple other things. 10.0.7 got announced, so that's up and coming. I think it's really cool that they're just rolling the content train. Along with that, they decided to do the Ret Paladin rework, so we'll see that, which is awesome. And last but not least, this is a little shout out to the people that are working on the World of Warcraft Wikipedia pages. There's less people have been working on it as time has been going. We haven't talked about this for a while, but we need more people out there helping on that. So if you're interested, there is a link that's going to be in the show notes. Please click on it. Go check it out. It's a wiki, so I mean, literally anybody can add information into it. Help yourself. If you want to have some tips or hints, there's a Discord server for Wikipedia. Lots and lots of people over there to help out to get you up to speed if you really want to. If you want to dabble into learning how to code wiki, it's really simple. All right. I think that's it for the news. I want to say there's something else, but I can't remember what it is.
I don't know.
All right. DarkShady. I just realized we just steamrolled through the whole news and we didn't even ask you 1 second if you had any thoughts about any of that stuff.
No, I mean, I think the coolest thing is that, we talked about the amount of things that Blizzard's doing right now with just the constant patches. The 10.07 is already announced. The Ret rework mid expansion. That's something that, correct me if I'm wrong, we've not ever seen before. That's something that is only done, every expansion kind of thing. So rework mid expansion is pretty substantial there. I'm just really happy. Like, I mean, if you guys remember Shadowlands Season 1, that content drought. I know they were dealing with stuff and COVID and everything like that, but it's just so nice to see just so much transparency, the roadmap, everything like that. It's really cool to see all these changes coming out, and I'm really excited to see kind of what goes on next. And AWC has been amazing to watch this time around. First week it was great, no RMP at all. It was just fantastic. But no, it's been really cool, and really excited to see Team Liquid. I'm sure will be back in it this weekend too, and it'll be cool to see kind of how everything plays out.
Indeed. And I believe, actually, I guess we should have mentioned that, is that, yeah, Team Liquid got knocked out during the qualifiers for Cup number 2, which was like unheard of.
Yep.
So
yeah.
We'll see how they do this year around, or this Cup around. All right.
Oh, I think they'll do great.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they'll be. I'm sure Troll would be on that assassination rogue in a heartbeat.
Yep, I'm sure.
All right. Do you have anybody you'd like to shout out though? There, Dark.
Oh man, I feel like I've done like some kind of shout outs of well, first off, you guys for having me on. That's just really awesome. Never done anything like this before, so it was really cool to do that. Talking about a spec I love, so it was really cool. But shout out to everyone playing Marksman Hunter consistently still. There are some guys out there that aren't giving up yet, and stay strong, guys. Eventually Marksman will see hopefully some better days up ahead, but not anyone really too specific besides you guys, I guess. So
Oh, thanks. It's always a pleasure to have somebody that's passionate and knowledgeable on the show. So it's our pleasure. Big. Anybody you want to shout out?
Yeah, shout out. I was mentioning the problems with the UI and everywhere these days, and shout out to all the UI authors or the add-on authors, because apparently it's really hard to make add-ons right now because of the redesign to the UI. A lot of problems. So shout out to everyone working on add-ons. You are the unsung heroes of the community.
You aren't wrong. I want to give a shout out to the WoW team, the community management team, for giving us 2, not just 1, but 2 of those wonderful little pets to give away. So I'm going to say it again. head on over to the Discord. Head on over there. You'll find our channel. You'll find a thread for the Need, Greed, and Pass. Give your opinion on the Need, Greed, and Pass and be considered entered. Your ballot will be entered in for the pet, and then 1 week later from today, we will draw the name. Or names, because 2 of them. All right. I guess, sorry. That's it for the show. DarkShady, where can we find you on the interwebs should we go looking for you?
Well, yeah, I stopped streaming for quite a while, and I'm just kind of getting back into it. I used to stream a ton, so I've been starting up that again. Twitch.tv/the, unfortunately with 2 E's, DarkShady. Exclusively going to be doing pretty much Hunter arenas, all 3 specs. Trying to hit 24 plus on all 3. Got 2 of them down. And then I'm also on Twitter for you guys, anyone who cares about that. Same idea, at the 2 E's, unfortunately. DarkShady. I'm on both of those pretty regularly. So
Awesome. I love it. And you're also on the in the Hunter Discord, right?
yes, I'm also in the Hunter Discord and try to be pretty active there. Meet a lot of really, really, really cool people there. So definitely check that. The True Shot Lodge is what it's called.
That's it. All right. And Big, how about you tell everybody where they can find us?
I'll do that right now. You can contact us directly with a tweet to @technically_PvP or by an email to technicallypvp@gmail.com. You can also join our discussions on the Bonus Roll Productions Discord. And you can even visit the Bonus Roll website to find the podcast directory with us and many other great shows at bonusroll.gg. There's a directory with a review system on the website, so be sure to head over there and let everyone know what you think of your favorite shows.
Indeed. And with everything, as always, links are going to be in the show notes. I want to thank you all for listening, and we will chat with you next time. Good night, everybody.
See ya.